Coming up,
microbes do a lot of the work in all aspects of life, not only for the soil, but for animals.
What we're recommending to producers actually works.
Learn how the smallest organisms make the biggest improvements in your crop and beef production. Next on The American Rancher. Hello and welcome to another episode of The American Rancher. I'm Pam Minnick. Whether rancher or farmer, agricultural producers are on the front line of a steadily intensifying battle to produce more food on less acreage. The quality of agricultural soil is quickly becoming ground zero in that struggle. Microbes are a critical component to the sustainability of life. And over the past century, microbes essential to maintaining productive and efficient soils have steadily declined because of conventional agricultural practices. The lasting effect is a reduction of efficiency in meat and crop production. A primary mission of BioSI technology is to rebuild, restore, and renew soils damaged by long-term ag production. And ongoing research keeps BioSI on the cutting edge of microbial inoculation programs that restore agricultural soils to peak performance.
So every product that we have has a good diversity of microorganisms. The idea is that the microbes in the mix, they're just working in the soil ecosystem. They're helping anything that's growing.
One of the things that we realize is that microbes do a lot of the work in all aspects of life, not only for the soil, but for animals, because when animals eat grass, they pull up part of the plant roots and get the dirt into their mouth, and there it contains the microbes. If the soil is depleted in microbes, that means a lot of animals are not going to be getting the beneficial microbial populations that they used to get 50, 60 years ago.
Well, it's part of our philosophy is that, some of the compounds that are made by certain microorganisms help out with the growth of other microorganisms, and this is something that's well documented. So we think that having a diverse blend of microbes not only has the benefit of getting a diverse blend to keep things in check in the soil, but also to stimulate some of the native microbes that are beneficial in the soil. So as part of an overall crop management program, microbial inoculants work very, very well.
The BioSI team works one-on-one with producers to match a microbial inoculation program to specific needs and budgets. BioSI's soil improvement programs begin with a collection of essential microbes that grow naturally in humus-rich virgin topsoil. Microbiologists harvest, grow, and formulate the right balance of multiple species of microbes that are necessary for healthy agricultural soil. And then, microbes that have been depleted as the result of years of heavy agricultural production are replenished. BioSI does this in 3 steps, and over time, a BioSI microbial inoculation program will regenerate your production land with humus-rich topsoils that hold moisture and nutrients and make fertilizer programs much more efficient.
Our 3-step program has our BioSI Select, which is our seed inoculant. This is used for treating seeds and transplants as they're going into the ground. This product has endomycorrhizae, or our fungi that get into plant roots and extend the effective root zone of those plants. And this will allow the plants to take up more water and more nutrients, so like phosphate, into the plants. Step 2 is our agricultural formula. It's used during the growing season to keep up the numbers of bacteria, the diversity, and to help with nutrient cycling and help out compete pathogens that might get into the system. And our 3rd step is the SD25 field stubble digester that helps break down any debris that's left over post-harvest and get those nutrients that you've already paid for back into the soil.
Recently, BioSI participated in a field day hosted by Severin Peanut Company in Pikeville, North Carolina, to demonstrate BioSI's ongoing commitment to research and development of new products.
It's good to get into the field and actually see it. You know, a lot of people think of the research that we might do as, you know, being a lot of laboratory-based stuff. So actually seeing our product being used and seeing it do its work, it makes a big difference.
Soybeans, peanuts, and corn grown in carefully controlled research plots in multiple locations are ready for their examination before harvest. The goal of the plots is to test crops grown with controlled sets of nutrients, along with various formulations of BioSI microbial inoculants, insecticides, and herbicides. The research crops will be replicated in stationary plots for multiple years, ensuring that the team gains statistically valid information.
So this is the what we're calling Tucker Special, after our founder and CEO who passed away earlier this year. It's a experimental inoculum and an Admire Pro insecticide, so grower standard with a little added benefit on the inoculum side. But we've got some monster peanuts here. We've got roots here that are just covered on every side possible with nodulation, and that's really what we want to see here. So I'm really happy with this plot. I think this combination would do really well for a producer. Hey, have you ever been whacked in the eyeball with one of these?
Yeah, they'll slice your eye good.
The benefit of using the BioSI technology program over hard chemistry or amendments is that our program increases the efficiencies of the plant and soil nutrients. When we can increase the efficiencies of the plant, we in turn benefit the natural immunity in plant processes. It is an entirely proactive method of production agriculture. One of the most noticeable differences we were able to see between the corn plots was the condition of the plant and its ability to continue to produce given the same environmental stresses.
So that's a ready coat.
Look at that, to the
That's
end.
a ready coat in 16.
The full ear.
Yeah. That's ready coat in 16, and I mean hot, dry weather.
That's a full, that's all the way to the tip. These look like pretty good beans.
Oh, they're really good.
The BioSI treatment plots contained healthier looking plants and more robust root systems, and the kernels on the ears were fuller and more complete, translating into a higher yield at a fraction of the cost of traditional production inputs.
One of the things that you hear farmers complain about all the time is they harvest and they have a tremendous amount of trash or plant stubble that's left behind. So we looked at all these different areas where we could make specialty products to handle those. Ag Formula for the soil, our Ag Select to help in the rhizosphere, you just dribble it right over the seed, and our SD25 to help break down plant stubble and things like that. And those were our primary products to begin.
And one way we can ensure a higher yield at a fraction of the cost is by recycling nutrients back into the soil by converting the former crop's plant residue into usable soil humus and nutrients.
Right here, you still see the old, that's soybean stalk there.
This conversion and money savings is achieved by a single post-harvest application of SD25.
You've spent money to put nutrients into the ground to grow the crop. You can use SD25 to reuse all of the elements that plant used to grow. In other words, your fertilizers, your nitrogen, phosphate, your potassium, and all the trace elements can be reutilized if you can break that down to where it can be reused by the next crop.
Yeah.
And so it saves the farmer money, and it also adds humus to the soil.
That's what SD25 should be doing for you right there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
So let's look at the check over here and see what we see. You'll see where
Throughout all of our plots, one common theme is healthier plants. Producers save an extraordinary amount of money because they do not need to apply pesticides or fungicides as they would in conventional production where the crops are stressed and unhealthy. In production fields that have adopted our program and follow our recommendations, we hear time and time again that they are not having to spray insecticides and fungicides as often or have completely stopped. We have reports from producers in other crops, like tobacco, that have drastically reduced or completely eliminated the use of gas fungicides for molds, etc. Coming out here and being able to see these research plots here close to the finalization and harvest part of the production system, you know, seeing the different rates and recommendations really gives us confidence and lets us know that what we're recommending to producers actually works. So there's a connection between what goes on in this field and what goes on in every production field that we consult with and that our products are used on, because they're completely connected. And that's some of the reasons that continuous research and product development is so paramount to BioSI technology.
To learn more about BioSI, log on to biositechnologies.com. Coming up after the break, Superior Sunrise's Kirby Schnorr and I take a trip back in time. Stay with us.
Our goal is to be so integrated and to offer so many options and opportunities for producers around the country to have great 44 Farms genetics and backed by our strong guarantees, and then also have the opportunity to participate in our buyback program.
44 Farms, the Abilene Christmas Bull Sale, noon Central on December 1st.
If you're in the stocker business, you know healthier, faster-growing cattle mean less treatment costs, happier customers, and stronger bids on sale day. Exceptional care and good nutrition are the keys to healthy, profitable cattle, and the Gain Smart Stocker program provides you all the tools you need to minimize stress at receiving, stimulate appetite quickly, and create efficient gains on forage or feed. Plus, feeding Gain Smart makes your cattle eligible for Superior's first-ever value-added nutrition program. Learn more about Gain Smart Stocker program and find a dealer near you at gainsmart.com.
Welcome back. Since 2004, the American Rancher has been on the cutting edge of the North American cattle industry, and what a ride it's been. Today, Kirby Schnorr, host of Superior Sunrise and producer of this program, is taking a look back on the American Rancher, where it's been and where we're going.
This is kind of an extension of the Best of American Rancher show that aired in March, but today we're looking at the American Rancher from Pam's perspective and learn a few pretty cool stories about this amazing woman. Pam, I mean, there's a lot that we can start with, but let's go into it. The Western way of life. How did you get started in it, and how has it led you to today?
Well, like all little girls, I loved horses. My parents did not have horses. They didn't even know anything about it. I grew up in Las Vegas, which now is a rodeo town, but a few years back when I was born, it was not. But my parents indulged me. They bought me 2 horses, Palominos named Rebel and Rio. The horses didn't know much, and I knew even less, but I joined 4-H, and it really provided me a foundation. Learned all about horsemanship, competed in horsemanship classes, junior rodeos, went on to high school rodeo, and then on to the professional ranks.
Well, I have to tell you this, reading Wikipedia, Google, and Googling your name, a lot of things have come up. Pam Minnick, the iconic cowgirl, television presenter and host, actress, business person, but the one that caught me off guard was stunt performer. I had no idea.
Well, when I've been in a few movies, commercials and things like that, and when you have a skill, which for me is horseback riding, they classify you as a stunt performer. So I've had a pretty good journey in that field as well. I was a world champion cowgirl in the movie Rodeo Girl with Catherine Ross. And so obviously I played kind of what is my life, because I was a world champion calf roper in real life. Then I was Tom Selleck's bride in the Louis L'Amour miniseries, The Sacketts. Being married to Tom Selleck wasn't a bad gig.
Yeah, I would have rather been that than the stunt performer. But going off of that, champion calf roper, you are that sports commentator, one of the first, especially in the rodeo industry. My favorite, Miss Rodeo America.
Well, I entered the pageant on a dare. The local pageant, Miss Eldorado in Las Vegas, a man that I rode horses for after school as my after school job, dared me to enter the Eldorado pageant. I won that. I won Miss Rodeo Nevada and then Miss Rodeo America all in the same year. And that kind of propelled me into the broadcasting, because as Miss Rodeo America, you're actually being interviewed all the time. You're talking to people about the sport of rodeo. Well, then a few years later, when the Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association started being televised in earnest in the late 70s, they called me and said, can you do the interviews? And ignorance is bliss. I said yes, and that kind of paved the way. Pretty soon I was working for ESPN when they came on board in the early 80s. And then I joined the broadcast crew at TNN. They broadcast the Mesquite Rodeo, which went into everyone's living rooms every Sunday night. And then in 1992, that was the platform for the professional bull riders. We actually started the PBR right next door in Cowtown Coliseum here in the Stockyards. And pretty soon the Professional Bull Riders organization was formed, and TNN did that broadcast for the 12 years that I was a part of it.
Wow, so a love for horses propelled to this, like, I guess you can say passion for the Western way of life, and led you to be such an iconic person in the industry. Not just a woman, you paved the way for a lot of women in the industry, but as an individual in general. You were the first sideline reporter, as you have said before. What does that mean?
Well, you know, rodeo is pretty much a man's sport. I mean, women play an important part there as barrel racers, and obviously the all-girl rodeos that I participated in. But for me, back in the 70s, to actually be a sideline reporter in a male-dominated sport really was groundbreaking. I started about 4 years before anyone did it in the NFL in football. And so at the time I didn't know I was breaking ground. Now people make a big deal about it, but I was just doing what I loved, talking about a sport that I loved, and that's what I get to do on the American Rancher too.
I know people do make a big deal of it. I do. I know when I got to move to Fort Worth, Texas 6 years ago, I told some family members that I was getting to work with you, and I was very excited about that. I think they were even more excited because they said, you know, as rodeo and Western way of life is such a big deal for people and such a culture, and it's so amazing to watch, you know, are flipping through the channels and seeing this blonde bombshell on TV. They're excited. And so you brought all of that excitement into people's homes time and time again. And you do that with the American Rancher. You bring stories into people's homes every week. Tell us about that.
Well, and hopefully it's authenticity too, and people can feel my passion. And I think that's been part of my success, is that I'm living all of this with them. I'm not talking to them, and that's been part of the fun of the American Rancher. I remember back when Joe Lichty here at Superior Productions and I first went to Montana to shoot the very first American Rancher stories. We had no idea that it would be this well loved and have this long of a run, but everywhere I go, people love the stories because we are sharing what we're passionate about.
Take control of current market conditions on Superior Livestock's weekly video auction. Register your lot load cattle by Tuesday, sell them on Thursday, putting you 2 days from money with the largest cattle marketing network in North America. Superior Livestock's weekly video auction has over 8,000 active and qualified buyers, and they're paying top dollar. Yep. Jump in. The bidding is hot. Call us or click superiorlivestock.com to learn more.
People at home learn so much from the American Rancher. We've told great stories of the hardy people that really are passionate about the cattle industry and putting beef on our tables. From the people in the high desert out in Nevada that have to run like 1 cow per 100 acres nearly because they're foraging so heartily. And then the people down in the southeast where parasites and humidity play a big part, and all the stories in between. those are the stories we bring to life every week. And there's people that are not even involved in the cattle industry that love learning about this way of life. They live vicariously through our stories on The American Rancher.
It's interesting to learn about the hardships as well. It hasn't always been easy for a lot of these people telling the stories, or it started just like you. You had a passion for horses and it led you into this industry. Some of these people have had a passion for owning a ranch and owning cattle, and it's led them to be pioneers of the industry, actually.
Yeah, and some of the things that I've learned about and shared are like the grow-safe systems. I mean, I'm sure that the early people in the beef industry never dreamed that they'd be able to put RFID on cattle and measure what they eat and figure out genetically which are the cattle that are the easiest keepers, you know, which gives the most gain for the less amount of investment. That grow-safe system, I remember telling that story the first time and going, wow, that's genius. We've told other great stories about, you know, innovative feeds and how every breed, not just Angus, not just Hereford, but every breed has really gotten into genetics. And we really are raising more cattle on less land, less feed. And I'm so proud of what American ranchers do every single day.
Technology. It's played a huge role in a lot of people's operations. You know, 44 farms, everything they've done from the fully integrated, you know, process that they have. I think you talked to them about this, and you guys kind of coined together farm to table, and you just you really evolved over time with these ranchers, as we've told their stories not once, not twice, some several times over the years.
Yeah, and you know, another great story I remember telling is the R.A. Brown Ranch out there in West Texas, where Rob Brown has really, part of his message is taking a stand on taxing farms as people move forward, you know, and estate taxes. I mean, he's taken a firm stand on that, saying, wait, we pay property taxes, we pay for these when we buy it. Why are our next generation have to pay for it when they sell it? So we bring a lot of stories to life.
You know, Nolan Ryan, we did a story on him, beef and baseball. That was kind of a fun one to do.
It's a fun one, especially for a couple of reasons. First of all, Nolan is such an icon in the world of athletics, you know, being such a great baseball player. But from the beginning, he's been passionate about cattle. And of course, Beefmasters is his breed of choice. And we've told his story a few times, and he's always so welcoming to welcome us into his home. And it's really funny, there's a lot of athletes that are involved in the cattle industry and the horse industry as well. A lot of movie stars as well, that their passion behind the scenes, what they want to be as a rancher.
Are there any stories over the years that kind of just stick out to you that you kind of remember and are like, you know, that was really fun to do, or that was really funny? They might be some funny stories in there.
I have to tell you, every Monday night when I sit down and watch RFD TV, I'm proud of the story that we've told that week. And so I don't know that there's a favorite one, but I watch them right along with the viewers at home.
And I know you're really involved in the process. You know, when we pick the ranch and we go to do it, you and I have sat and wrote the script because we want to do justice for the American rancher. When you think of it, when somebody asks you, what is the American rancher, what's something you would say to them?
Gosh, it's a person that's passionate about the land, passionate about cattle, and passionate about feeding America and the world. And it's something that you don't learn in a book. I kind of get emotional when I think about it, because they invest a lifetime and they don't do it to get rich. You know, there's a lot of heartaches in the industry, and it's so fun to watch, though, the next generation. When you do that stock show special here at the Fort Worth Stock Show and you interview those kids, we know that America's in good hands in the future.
The younger generations that are coming up, I mean, they have such a love and a passion for it, and they realize the importance that all their hard work is going to, because they're putting food not just on their table, but tables across the country.
Right. And they've got so many more tools now. They've got great tools.
I know, like we said earlier, I mean, technology, you have said it's made a tremendous difference.
That's probably the biggest change in the cattle industry, is how genetics and technology have really helped the cattlemen.
Where do you see the American rancher going in the years to come?
Hopefully, telling more stories. And like you say, we feel a responsibility when we tell those stories. We feel a responsibility to the ranchers whose story we're telling, and a responsibility to the public, because Our vision, my vision, is the same as Patrick Gotch's vision with RFD-TV, and that's to bring city and country together. And I think we do that well on The American Rancher.
Well, speaking of RFD-TV, I mean, you've had a long-standing relationship with them. Superior Livestock has, and we're very thankful for them and the many stories they tell over, over their programs. You do Gentle Giants as well. A part of that, you are very involved at Billy Bob's. I mean, how do you juggle it all? How do you keep it all going?
You know, when you love what you do, just like the American Ranchers, people that are out, you find the time to do what you love to do. I love telling stories of Gentle Giants. I love telling stories of cattle ranches. And I love country music, so I love Billy Bob's.
Well, thanks for having me on today, Pam. It's always great to talk to you. I know I like going over to your home and speaking with you and Billy, but it's great for the viewers at home to get to know you and the American Rancher a little bit better.
Well, and maybe next time we'll turn the tables on you, Kirby, and thank you and your team for bringing the American Rancher stories to life. We hope you enjoyed this edition of the American Rancher, where we've been and where we are today. To find out more, visit our website, theamericanrancher.com, or connect with us on Facebook. We'd love to hear from you. I'm Pam Minnick with Kirby Schnorr. For the entire American Rancher team, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Superior.